My name is Whitley Burr. I am with Premier Truck Group and I oversee all of our corporate staffing and employment. And a big part of that is working with technical schools in recruiting new technicians. So there's a huge need for skilled technicians in our industry. As I kind of previously mentioned, one of the largest needs right now, especially in the midst of the pandemic, and it's really proven itself, is that we have to have trucks on the road to move essential needs such as food or medical supplies or whatever it may be. The more these trucks are up and running, the more likely they are to break down and come into our shops. If we do not have our bays filled to service those trucks, we're missing the opportunity to do more business and to do good business. And we can only do that by having skilled technicians on the floor that are trained properly and ready to work. So the necessity is obviously there, and our technicians are an incredibly essential and huge part of our business, what we do daily. In regards to career advancement and that sort of thing, we very much promote from within. We always publicize our jobs internally first, especially, for example, at a time like this. We're trying to be very careful of bringing a lot of people in and out of our doors who are not already our employees, so that even further advances the opportunity for someone who's already in the organization to maybe fulfill a role that may come open a little bit further up the ladder from themselves. We're not going to be looking at outside candidates right now, especially. So in a time like this, not only are you working in an essential business where your job is stable, but you're also going to be even more seen for those roles that may be a little bit further up the ladder. So for those graduating right now, you may not be getting those face-to-face interviews that you were expecting prior to all of this happening, but I can completely reassure you that the outlook for the future is that those jobs are going to be there as soon as they are able to be there. So I know for us, we're definitely lining up our top candidates. So the minute that we are able to safely say go, we've got those candidates ready to go and we've got their jobs secured. So virtual interviewing, my advice to those graduating right now would just be to continue to maintain communication with the organizations that you're most interested in and make sure you're at the top of their list, so that as things continue to return to a truer normalcy, you're the first ones in the door. So when we're hiring technicians, I think a lot of times students especially think that they need to have a ton of shop experience. And although that is a great asset and it's a wonderful thing to have, and we love seeing that on a resume, it's not for us the most important. What we like to see on a resume when we're hiring technicians, especially students coming straight out of school, is we just want to see longevity and commitment on your resume. And so maybe you worked at Starbucks as a barista for 3 years prior to going to school to become a technician. Although that is in no way related to being a technician, what it does show us is that you're willing to stick it out and stay with a company for the long term. We would much rather hire somebody who's been at Starbucks as a barista for 3 years than someone who's been in and out of 10 different shops over the last 9 months, right? So we look for longevity and commitment, and we also look for someone who's a really great culture fit for us. And so every organization has its own culture, and it needs to be a fit for students and candidates as well as the employer. For PTG specifically, we really love competitive people who have a really competitive nature about them and like to win. Our recruiting slogan is "Winners Work Here," and we truly believe that. So we look for those who are competitive, and we look for really big team players. And you can see that in the interview process. You can tell if someone really likes to be a part of a team or if they're more of a solo type worker, and that's okay. But for us, we are very much a team-based kind of atmosphere. But again, I just say while you're in school, no matter what kind of job you have, stick with it and build your resume based on the fact that you are committed and long-term. So our technicians stay completely up to date on their training through several different methods. Of course, online training is a huge portion of what we do. We're a Freightliner dealership, so all of our training is done through DTNA. And I obviously am not the expert in this area, but a lot of our training happens online. So being comfortable with that online training and having that experience under your belt, maybe while you're in school, learning that skill set to be able to sit down and do the online training yourself is huge. A huge portion of that takes place online for us once you're already in the field. We also have dealer trainers that work for all of our facilities and locations, and so we do have a lab training as well. So being able to train yourself on the computer, but also be able to interact with an instructor and work one-on-one in a lab setting is super important as well. So I think the skill sets you learn in school in regards to how you train and learn new skills really transition really well into the industry itself and how we keep our current technicians abreast in the newest and best technology. UTI does a lot of different things to really prepare graduates to enter the workforce. I personally work with over 25 schools throughout the U.S. on a regular basis. I have relationships with them. And, UTI is by far one of our favorite schools to work with. And I don't know if I'm allowed to say that, but I'll say it now. One of the things that we love so much about working with UTI students is not only the advanced technical training that UTI students have, but UTI really puts an emphasis on additional training in regards to things such as just communication skills, kind of professionalism type classes and that sort of thing seems to be a little bit more prominent at UTI versus some of the other technical schools that we've worked with in the past. I think it's been a really big focus that skill set carries over. Maybe it's not your goal to be on the floor forever, and so learning some of the other soft skills such as communication and the ability to handle resumes professionally and that sort of thing really transition and carry into other roles that you may want to someday have in the industry outside of just being on the shop floor. So online learning is super beneficial right now because I think a lot of the industry is going to start leaning more towards on the technology-based training and even technology-based communication with our customers and with each other and that sort of thing. So I said it earlier, but learning how to self-manage and learning how to actually be a strong communicator via those methods is super important. And so I think this is just another aspect of learning that's going to transition into the work world in the future.